This week on the latest episode of The Big Show, after months of anticipation, the summer movie season is here. We'll discuss all the blockbusters, tentpole films, and all of the various stories studios are hoping that attract moviegoers back to the theaters. Good luck, studios. We'll have all that and more on episode 500 of Keeping It Real with FilmGordon. Let's go. All right, and welcome back, I should say, to the latest episode of Keeping It Real with FilmGordon. I am Tim Gordon. We have been on vacation for 2 weeks. I would call it a spring break. Yeah, perhaps. But Charles Kirkland Jr., what's going on, bro? So how did you spend your spring break?
Wow. Let me see. I watched a little bit of television, a few movies, went to the Hollywood Bowl, all kinds of good stuff.
Wow. That was good. I like that one. That was good. All right. Well, hey, man, like I said, man, it was funny because we'd been off and it was time to recharge, but it's time to get back in the saddle, man. It's summertime, man. I mean, this is actually one of my favorite times of the year. That's not award season because this kind of the summer movie season kicking off always indicates like, hey, man, we're at the halfway point of the year. It's also meaningful this year, Charles, because this is the first time moviegoers have been back in theaters, man. 2019 was the last in-person summer movie season. I'm correct, right? Because we were down in 2020 and in 2021.
No, we weren't. We were down 2019. Remember 20?
No. The pandemic started in 20.
You're
so
right.
2019. You're right. So this is literally the first time that people are going back to theaters to watch summer movies in 3 years, man. So wow. So this is it's historic because we haven't had this happen before. Because if you remember a century ago, when the world went through this pandemic with the Spanish flu, we didn't have a film industry to speak of, not in the way that the film industry exists right now. So it's very interesting, man. It's going to be a test. We've done several shows in the last couple of months, Charles, where we talked about the only genre that has really been very consistent as a moneymaker or bringing people back to theaters has been the superhero genre. There are at least one, or actually two, films that are on the schedule for this summer. Both those films, which of course come out of Marvel, will exceed $1 billion. Both of them will. I mean, the first one we know, which we won't review until we do our bonus episode, but the first one is easily going to scale the $1 billion threshold. The second one I anticipate will as well. But the question will be, Charles, and we'll talk about it a lot more in detail as we go through these summer films, will there be any other genre? There's one film that I think you and I talked about prior to coming on that may have a shot, but it's going to be a really, really interesting litmus test of where we are as a culture, as a society. And it also doesn't help, Charles, that there's this thing called inflation, the big I.
Ooh, yeah.
Woo! So if you paying for Disney Plus and Netflix and HBO and Stars and Paramount Plus, and I'm just saying, bro. I'm just saying. So I've talked, Charles. Give me some opening thoughts from you before we jump right in, man, and look at these summer films.
Well, I mean, I think you pretty much summed it up very well. I mean, there's this contingent of people who want to get out to the theaters now, and who they're unmasking, they're confident about sitting in a movie theater. but it's become way too expensive to go to the movies right now. If you're talking about a $10 ticket, and maybe
What $10 ticket? What $10 ticket?
I mean, if you catch the matinee show, you catch a $10 ticket, and you spend $7-8 in gas money to get to the theater. And don't buy any popcorn. It's getting rather expensive to get out of the house nowadays, and I can queue it up on my TV and hit the DoorDash if I don't feel like cooking something myself, and relax at home. It's gonna be, if it's not Marvel or DC like the Batman, which was very successful. I don't. There's very, the litmus test we're going to talk about. The first shot is going to be Tom Cruise, and so we'll see, we'll talk about that when we get to it. But it's going to be a rough summer. It's going to be a rough summer.
Well, when you say it's going to be a rough summer, and I know that we're just kicking off before we jump in, but when you're saying it's being a rough summer, I think it's a combination of there's still a level of uncertainty. You still have more people. I was out shopping earlier today, getting ready for Mother's Day weekend, and everywhere I went, man, you're still doing that, what I call that half and half thing, man, where you had half the people who are masked and the other half who are not. I don't know, man. I know I say this every show. I really don't know, man. And instead of, for people who are watching, I'm not trying to come off as some sort of an expert when I really don't know. We are really in an unknown paradigm right now as it relates to not just entertainment, but everything, man. Like I said, the price of stuff going up. The ease that people have grown accustomed over the last 2 years, as you said, Charles, it used to be, the joke used to be, let's have Netflix and chill. It's been everything in chill over the last 2 years. And, trying to pry people off couches. The only way you get a person off the couch now is, as you said earlier, it's got to be a special event, man. And it's got to be something that we want to go to the movies to see. And I think Marvel right now has established themselves, along with that genre. You talked about the Batman earlier with Warner Brothers. People, for whatever reason, enjoy seeing those sorts of films on the big screen. Are there any other films they really enjoy? And when I say enjoy, remember our line is $100 million opening, which used to signify and represent every week, especially in the summer, that you would have these big battles that we would talk about, that, oh man, you got this $100 million movie opening up against this $100 million movie. There's not enough theater space and there's not enough dollar to go around. So if one movie is rising, then the other one must be falling. This summer is going to be really interesting. So without further ado, man, let's just jump into it, man, so people can get an idea of where we're going. So, Charles, there's a list of films that are coming out in the summer movie season before we starts with this first weekend of May through the last weekend of August. And it's really primarily through July. There's normally maybe a movie or two as the summer is winding down in August, but studios try to pack May, June, and July with as many big films as they can. Because remember, you've got Memorial Day weekend, and we'll talk about this year's big Memorial Day weekend film. And back in the day, Will Smith was the master of the 4th of July, which was also the other big weekend. So we're talking about those films, Charles. Go ahead.
Who were you talking about?
See, you started, man. I do not start. I'm just saying he was Mr. 4th of July for a reason, because the 4th of July was one of those big movie holidays. So we'll find out what's on the 4th this year. But let's kick off.
Talk about Will Smith. He hadn't had a July 4th movie in over a decade.
Well, I'm saying, but back in the day, he owned that spot when he was releasing movies during that time period. So again, you're right. He hasn't had one in a minute, but I just bring that up to say that the 4th of July has always been a very profitable holiday. And we're going to discuss which film that's going to be on that, or to be on that date this year. But we start off, man, with our first film that to kick off the summer. And of course, it's from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. This is the film that I talked about earlier that fits into the genre that people are going, and they're going in record numbers. I mean, this movie almost did $40 million in preview money the night before it opened. So, right. And as Charles talked about it, you know, you're talking about pre-sales. That movie's huge. That movie may be the biggest movie of this summer. It might be, and we'll come back and revisit in several months. Charles, any thoughts on this film? Not to review it, but I'm talking about its prospects as it kicks off the summer. And, you know, looking at all of the other movies that are out this summer, I don't think anything's going to beat Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness at the box office this summer.
You know, I don't know whether Disney did it on purpose or not, or whether they were thinking about this or not, but this is a prime spot here to start off to kick off a great summer. So, I mean, the potential is there to make this a great summer because you're going to have this great film kick it off. However, it may seem like it's just setting a bar that's too high for anybody else to reach. We'll see.
No, I got you, man. Now, coming out next week, which is going to try to threaten the money from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm laughing because the answer is it's not going to threaten their money next weekend, is the remake of Stephen King's 1984 film, Firestarter. Now, again, Firestarter might be somebody's cup of tea. I remember watching the first one, you know, they're remaking it again. I'm not even going to disrespect you, Charles, by asking you the obvious question that everybody, including those watching, already know the answer. That Firestarter is going to be a decent film. It's not going to open at $100 million. It's barely going to be a ripple in that in that super march to the box office that Doctor Strange is going to do in week 2. So good luck, Firestarter. Do you have any comment on this film? Because I know you are a fan of the original.
I was a fan of the original. I love Drew Barrymore in the film, but they're already cutting off their legs at the knees because they're doing a double release on this. They're releasing it in theaters and on Paramount Plus. So again, how much money do you expect to make if half of your people are going to sit at home and watch it on TV? We've already mentioned this before. So if you're not encouraging them to come out, why are they?
There you go. Now, the other film, Charles, is opening next weekend, which was a film that I think played at Sundance last year, was the Gerard Carmichael film, On the Count of Three. You know, another film that will have some limited space in the theater. And what I mean by that, if you're watching at home, when I say limited space, most multiplexes are going to play multiple runs of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So On the Count of Three might get a house, and I'll be generous when they say it'll get a house. I'm not going to say it's getting 2, but it'll get a place to play. And it may be out of the theaters with the quickness because in the summer movie season, one thing is for sure, Charles, you either produce or you have to get out the way because we got to get more content in because it's coming every week. And, you know, so go ahead.
Like I said, the next one is coming. So if you don't hit it and quit it, that's all you got.
Wow. All right. So May 20th, man, Downton Abbey, A New Era. Now, this is interesting because I saw the last Downton Abbey, and my apologies for not having this queued up. I think it was 2019. Okay, here's another film, like I said, that there may be an audience for it. You could always look at what we call counter programming, Charles. You know, you got lots of young folks and you know, and comic book folks who are watching the big blockbuster. Again, another film I don't think that's going to really move the needle. Charles, am I wrong? With Downton Abbey, A New Era?
Like you said, the first film was in 2019 after a successful run on HBO, And I don't think the 2019 movie was that great. I don't think the 2022 movie is going to do much better.
All right. Another movie opening on May 20th, man, is from Alex Garland. And of course, that is Men. Men is another film. And again, I'm being very transparent as it relates to the conversation that we're having on this show right now is a conversation we would have with other critics when we would be at the theater like, that's a cute movie. That movie's not going to do much. Men looks like it's a very interesting film. But I think following the theme of what we've been discussing all show long is that there is this idea that, you know, people want to get out, like you were saying earlier, Charles, people want to get back out. But I think we're going to see a summer where you may have 3, maybe 4 films or as many as you can count on one hand that might really make money this summer, because at the end of the day, it's all about the money that the studio chains want, because folks have been sitting at home. They need to reinvigorate the theater space again. I don't know, man. I'm not saying that the theater situation is going the way of the dodo, but I think it's going to take more than one summer in order to build back up what has been lost over the last 24 months.
Yep. You're absolutely correct, sir. Okay. And Men is not going to be one of those movies. Sorry.
All right. Well, speaking of one of those movies, you talked about the litmus test. And now here we are at Memorial Day weekend, and it's Top Gun Maverick. Now, here's a film that's, of course, the sequel to the 1986 kind of, you know, culture film, because, you know, it's one of those films that I remember really, really well, because I saw it, you know, when it was initially out, and I was at a really, really young and impressionable age. Tom Cruise killed it at that point, along with that superstar cast and that soundtrack. There was so much about that movie that really, really worked. And when you watch the trailer for this one, it's almost like they're leaning in heavy, Charles, to the nostalgia of that first film. Now, again, there's a certain audience of people that works for, but now you are programming this film for a new generation of audiences. This film is going to be the one, Charles, that we talked about earlier, that's going to give us a test by the end of May, whether or not, that people are actually coming back to the theaters if Top Gun Maverick is able to do what it will do. Now, remember, Charles, this movie was supposed to have been released, I think, in 2020, and they pushed it back a couple of times. Will this film, excuse the pun, take audiences' breath away?
Wow.
I went there.
You really went there? I thought you were going to say, will it take flight or something like that? Oh, man. You know, the thing about it is, I thought this movie was playing to a demographic that just wasn't going to make a lot of money, in that it was a nostalgia film for people who remember the first one. But with the casting that they've done, they brought in Miles Teller and Lewis Pullman, some younger people, and I mean, they've really done a good job of marketing this to a new era of a new generation of film viewers. So, and on top of the fact, everything you hear about this movie, everybody loves this movie. They say it's really done well. So I haven't seen it myself, but I thought that this movie had the potential to be a dud because of the demographic that it was reaching to. But Tom Cruise is a bankable star, and I think they've done something special. We'll see what happens.
All right, so that takes us out of the month of May, man. Let's go and talk about June right now. And coming out the box on June the 3rd is a new film by David Cronenberg called Crimes of the Future. Now, I haven't seen this movie. Don't think that this movie. Now, again, what we're discussing right now, Charles, is not whether or not the movies are good, right? We're not reviewing the movies. We are previewing and then also giving you our opinion on whether this will be a film that will get people off the couch and into the theaters. And my answer resoundingly is no. Crimes of the future. There's nobody gonna be like, yo, man, I got to get my ticket tonight. Now, there might be some people, but not enough in order to move the needle. Charles, am I wrong, or am I just being a hater?
I think you're being a hater, but you're right. This is not the film. This is not the film.
All right. So also on June 3rd is Fire Island. And then, Charles, here's the movie that I think might, if Top Gun Maverick is not the one to do it, Jurassic World Dominion might be, because this film has all of the qualities that you look for in a summer family film, right? You got dinosaurs, you've got, I guess this is, Spielberg has got something to do with it. So it's got that kind of Spielbergian storytelling that happens in it. And it's family, and it appeals to folks who can bring kids in over the summer. This might be, I'm not saying it's going to make MCU money, but this one might have a shot. Charles, what are you thinking, man? Because, they're reuniting some of the original cast members. Sam Neill, Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum are coming back for this. What are you thinking, man?
I'm thinking, this is also directed by Colin Trevorrow, who did The Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise. Again, you got all the crew from every Jurassic World. This is the last one, supposedly. This is the film. This is the film of any film that's not a superhero film that has the most potential of being a success. However, Disney is a monster, and I think they did something that's really going to be a problem for Jurassic World and with the next film that's coming out the next week we should be talking about. I mean, Disney is like, oh yeah, you think you're going to make money? You got 1 week. You got 1 week because we're coming back. We're coming back at you.
Well, speaking of that, man, the next week after Jurassic World Domination or World Dominion, is Lightyear, which is a Pixar movie, man. It's a spinoff like a Buzz Lightyear. And to your point, you're absolutely right, man. Now, this film feels to me that Pixar, Lucasfilms, and Marvel, which all are under the banner of Disney, there is one thing consistent, or actually two things consistent about all these films, is that A, they understand how to tell a story, right? That's number one. B, or two, they've got the dollars that they're able to understand not just how to tell a story, but that the story looks and appeals to you in a certain way. And then there's usually all the other ancillary stuff like the soundtrack, the music, all that other stuff that goes into the making of these entertaining vehicles. I haven't seen Lightyear yet. I guarantee you, though, when you watch it, you're going to be like, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Charles, am I wrong?
This is the one all the children want to go see.
Yeah.
They love dinosaurs, but we're talking about Buzz Lightyear and not Tom Hanks' Buzz Lightyear. This is Captain America doing Buzz Lightyear. Chris Evans is the voice of Lightyear this time around. And the trailers are out and it looks fantastic. It's Disney. It's Disney.
Now, it's interesting. I was thinking as you were talking that people at home are going, well, I don't understand these guys. They keep telling us about, which movie's going to make money and this was going to make money. Coda came out last year. Coda didn't make a lot of money. It was an award winner. You know what? And that's great. The fact is that if you're asking people to plunk down money after all the things that we discussed, there's a reason that we're previewing it in this way, because this is the first time that people are coming back in several years in theaters to watch movies. And it is a very different climate than the one that we left back in the day. So that's why, to answer that question, if anybody's out there trying to understand the rationale of how we're discussing these films, you gotta, the future of this business is about people getting off the couch or getting out the house and coming back into theaters, Charles. It's not about, hey man, these movies are great. This is not this show is not this summer preview is not. So having said that, also, while kids and families are going to be loading into the theater for Lightyear, a Sundance favorite also comes out that weekend, which is a film we both saw, Cha Cha Real Smooth, with Dakota Johnson, excuse me. Big movie, man. I mean, again, is this one playing on Apple TV at the same time, or are they putting it in theaters, Charles? I'm reading right now. I think it's going to be on Apple
I
instead
believe
of
it
being
is
in
on
the
Apple.
theaters.
I believe it is going to be on Apple TV. It's a cute film, not as cute as Coda was last year. And what you're talking about is a rising tide lifts all the ships. So if you get a whole bunch of people going out to the movie theaters again, enjoying the experience, then they might take time out from after seeing Lightyear to go see Cha Cha Real Smooth. Now, if again, Apple is cutting themselves short but they did the same thing with Coda last year. Coda had a limited run, but it was really on Apple Plus. I think they had it in the theaters for a week or two, just for Oscar qualifications. And yeah, but I don't think Cha Cha Real Smooth is as cute as good a movie. I'll stop saying cute because it was a really special movie to me. Made my top 10 last year. I don't think Cha Cha Real Smooth is as good a movie as Coda was, but you know, it's their summer entrant.
No, I got you. Now, Apple Plus is releasing Cha Cha Real Smooth, and Netflix was like, "Oh, that's a good weekend for us to put out Spider-Head as well." So Chris Hemsworth, Miles Teller, and Journey Smollett in a film that it comes from the directors of Top Gun Maverick and Tron Legacy. Joseph Kosinski is doing this one, so this is another one of the big all-star cast. Netflix, who has told folks that they're going to be releasing one, studio film or one big film a week. Here's their big film. So Spider-Head goes up against Cha Cha Real Smooth, Charles. I wish there was a metric that would let us know which one of these films will do better on a streaming platform. Like, we know we can measure dollars in theaters, but there is no metric that I think exists, or at least that the public can see, that can figure out like, oh snap, man, Spider-Head, it took down Cha Cha Real Smooth, Charles.
I mean, back in the day, I'm showing my age, you had your Nielsen ratings to tell you what TV show was the best, but you don't have anything for that streaming service. You just got to take it at the word of whomever is presenting it.
You're right.
So
you're right. Now, here you go, Charles. Here's another film for you. And I don't see it, but director Baz Luhrmann, I'll just start there. The man who gave you Moulin Rouge, the man who gave you Gatsby, the man who's giving you a bunch of these films that, is bringing you Elvis on June the 24th. I already know before I go in that the type of filmmaker that Baz Luhrmann is. Like, the music is going to be on point. It's going to be a spectacle because that's what he does.
Yep.
And, but again, you're making a story about Elvis Presley, a guy that you literally almost have to reintroduce to audiences in 2022. Elvis has been gone now for 45 years, man, 1977. So is there anybody in your house going, hey, Dad, we going to see Elvis in June?
I said something on the show last time we talked about Elvis, quoting a Public Enemy lyric, and I got a couple people who spoke to me, but guess what? They were older than me. So right. Elvis is gonna. That's a stretch. It's gonna be a stretch. I don't know how you get people to come out. We way past Elvis right now. We hip hop, rock and roll, all of this. Elvis has been dead a long time.
Wow, Charles, I just said he was gone, man. Wow, harsh, but you're right, but harsh. But yeah, man. I just think sometimes about subject matter, right? And I think we're at an age where we're not super old, but we're not super young. So we're sort of in the middle when it comes to things like these 70s, 80s, like we talked earlier about Firestarter, right? Whenever you're doing these sorts of stories, you heard me say earlier that we're reintroducing it to a new generation, but it's true. There's a reason why, if you pay attention to this business, that you understand that you see Disney, who's now really gotten smart about it, Charles. It's like every 20 to 25 years, if they had a animated film, it's a live action now. If it was live action 25, 30 years ago, it's animated now. So Disney is constantly refreshing, going through their vault and finding stuff to reintroduce the audiences. So I'm sure there'll be a Lion King in 2040, a Lion King in 2072. They will just keep on refreshing their properties. So I'm being funny, but I'm actually not.
And James Earl Jones will continue to be the voice for Mufasa.
There it is. All right. So also for people who just finished watching Moon Knight, Ethan Hawke returns on June the 24th in The Black Phone, which is a thriller horror movie that, you know, if you like that kind of thing, it might work. It may make some money. But like I said, so far, the only films that feel like we're going to be having conversations about, man, this movie made some money, is Top Gun Maverick so far and Lightyear. And maybe Jurassic World Dominion. So those three, perhaps, Charles, so far. Have I missed anything, or is there anything else that you think jumps out that could be a sleeper to help bring people back to the theaters?
That's it. Let's hit July, because I want to show you that there's a pattern evolving here as soon as we get into July.
All right. Well, we're in July now, and the first film up is Minions: The Rise of Gru, which is on July the 1st, which is that July the 4th weekend. Charles, this is another interesting one. When you talk about earlier when we were talking about Lightyear, this is not coming out of Disney, but it is a franchise that people are familiar with. It is one that has been around for a minute. I don't know from a financial standpoint. Maybe you can look it up to tell me what this franchise has traditionally opened with. But this is also another alternative for parents whose kids have watched Lightyear. Like, hey, I got a couple movies that you can see. Minions would fit into that box of something, you know, harmless yet funny. You know, that could be well, actually, I wouldn't call it family fare. I would just think that parents would be taking small kids there to have the screen kind of babysit them for about an hour and a half. But what say you, Charles, about Minions: The Rise of Gru?
The last Minions movie made $1.5 billion.
Whoa!
So okay. I mean, this is a big franchise. Minions really is a popular series. Not just, I mean, because you got all the Despicable Me's and all that go along with it. So it's successful. It always has been. And I think this one has the potential to be very popular as well. But guess what?
Uh-oh.
Disney said, you ain't gonna have that money for long, pal.
No, and I get where you're going with this. You're right. There is a pattern that every time somebody puts something out, the next weekend, Disney is waiting for you with something else.
Hold my beer.
Disney is waiting to slap you upside the head. Like, you might get one, but you won't get more. And when I say one, I mean you might get one weekend. You're not going to get more than one weekend. So you're right about that. So any other comments? You are funny. Any other comment about Gru? So Gru perhaps could be one of those films, Charles, that we're talking about that may kind of scale that mountain and make that money. But again, let's just remember, we talked about inflation, man. Is there enough dollars out there theaters this year? I mean, I'm asking, this is a legitimate question, man, because the way the prices are going up on everything right now, you know, people still got to make choices, man, between, you know, all of the cable I got at home versus like I might need to go out. Movies aren't as inexpensive as they once were. So Charles, take that into account as we're talking about this. And you don't have to give me an answer right now, but just be thinking about that as well.
Like I said, there will be some people sitting at home saying, am I going to pay for Minions this week, or do I wait next week and pay? Because I can't do them both. I can't do them both. The kids got Lightyear last month. This month's going to be me.
Right. Well, also opening that weekend, one of my favorite directors, man, a name you probably have never heard me say out loud, but he has a pattern of movies that I've really, really liked. John Michael McDonough has The Forgiven coming out on July the 1st. Of course, this film stars Jessica Chastain, Ray Fiennes, Matt Smith, Caleb Landry Jones. And of course, this is the same director, Charles, who did The Guard with Don Cheadle and Brendan Gleeson. He did Calvary with Brendan Gleeson, which I thought was fantastic. War on Everyone back in 2016. John, this movie, I don't think is going to make a gang of money. Now, it may be reviewed well, and it'll be a movie that I think will probably play better on the small screen on a streaming platform than it will in theaters. But I'm just putting it out there that I like John Michael McDonough's work. And I think this is a film that I am looking forward to seeing, but I know that it's not going to move the needle as it relates to, getting people to come into theaters for it. Not in large numbers.
I'm so glad you said that name, because I was about to have to quit, because I thought you were going to mention Jason Moore's movie that's coming out, Shotgun Wedding, with the latest romance movie from Jennifer Lopez is also coming out that same weekend. So when you said your favorite director, I was like, please, if you say Jason Moore, I quit. I'm leaving right now. Look, you'd have seen this.
Well, you know what, man? No, don't quit, man, because we got a lot more work to do. So now we move on to Charles's pattern that every time there is a Jurassic Dominion, and then there is Lightyear. This time there is, the Rise of Gru, and then 1 week later is Thor: Love and Thunder, which is the fourth film in the Thor franchise. I always mispronounce his name. Taika
Waititi.
Yes, is back. And I will give him a lot of credit, man, because I thought the first two Thors, the first one was okay. The second one, Dark World, is probably one of the worst MCU films. And that's not just me saying that. This is what people have, talked about. If you go look it up, it was not well reviewed at all and didn't really do anything to help move the story along. But he comes along with Thor Ragnarok. My goodness, changed the tone. That one worked really, really well, and I anticipate that Thor: Love and Thunder. I mean, think about it. This is the fourth Thor film, right? Iron Man got 3. Captain America got 3. Am I right, Charles? He got 3?
Yes.
Okay, and the Hulk, I know, got 1. So the fact that they've given you 4 Thor movies tells you what they think about this character, and where, and also with the connective tissue is that Thor is now hanging out with the Guardians of the Galaxy, which of course, for people who have read the comics, they understand that there is an obvious connection there that they will play off into this story. I have lots of hopes for Thor: Love and Thunder, Charles. Am I misplaced? Am I wrong? Or will this thing pick up exactly where Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness and be yet another successful patch in the MCU quilt?
I mean, Taika Waititi does not miss very often, and I think the resurrection of the Thor franchise he did with the last film, Ragnarok, I think it continues on into Love and Thunder, and we're looking at another excellent film from the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
All right, and now let's go to the next week, man, where Netflix has done something where they are rolling out a big one, Charles. The Gray Man on July the 15th, man. Ryan Gosling Chris Evans, Ana de Armas from what's the film that she and Ben Affleck just did? Deep Water.
Deep Water.
And how do you pronounce this man's name? Rajay Jean Page from Bridgerton.
Yeah, Regé Jean Page. Regé Jean Page. Yeah.
From a movie directed by Anthony and Joe Russo, who we just talked about from Avengers Endgame and all of the Captain America films. This is a huge one for Netflix. Again, I think it would have been better if they would have put it in theaters. Netflix is like, they doubling down, man. Them and Amazon are like, nah, man, you ain't got to go to the movies, man. We got this for you at the house. So I'm just, look, Charles, I'm being real. You got opposing forces, man. This is like, should I put on a mask or should I not put on a mask? The theaters are going, be unmasked. Netflix and Amazon is like, no, I'm saying right. Right. So The Gray Man looks like it is going to be good. Or at least it has enough pedigree and names in it. What are you thinking about The Gray Man, Charles?
I think I'm amazed, like you said, that Netflix didn't decide to put this in the theaters because, I mean, maybe it's because we haven't seen anything about it yet. But I mean, from what you read, what you see, who's in it, I don't understand why they didn't give it a shot, but we'll see. That I think Netflix is very smart, so maybe they know something we don't know.
Well, let me tell you how. Let me show you or tell you how gangster this is. Right, Netflix has The Gray Man coming out on the 15th. They also have Persuasion, which is based on the Jane Austen story with Dakota Johnson, Henry Golding, Suki Waterhouse, and Richard Grant. They also are releasing that on the same day. So, man, so I'm trying to think through this, Charles.
Back in the old days, back in the old days, you would go to the drive-in theater and they would have a wonderful little double feature for you to watch. Netflix is saying, stay home. We got a double feature for you. Enjoy.
But I'm saying, how is it genius marketing to put literally two big budget movies opposite each other on the same channel? I mean, it might be. I mean, to your point, it might be a double feature. I don't think we've ever had a conversation before doing any preview where we've had films from Amazon and Netflix competing with films from Marvel and Warner Brothers and Universal and others. I just think it's a very bold strategy that they're trying to one up themselves. Like, we're going to put two big films, The Gray Man and Persuasion, both of them on July the 15th, man. You can check those out on Netflix. Stay at home. Like you said, Charles, stay home. No need to leave the house. We got stuff for you to watch. Wow.
Well, I mean, and then they'll still have a film come out the next week because it's still, their initiative is every week they're going to release a studio something. So, I mean, they got two in that 1 week.
Wow. All right, which sets up July the 22nd, which is a week we're looking forward to. The man himself, Jordan Peele, is back. The man that gave you Get Out, the man that gave you Us, is back with Nope. Wow, Charles, thoughts on July 22nd, man? This might be a movie that may get people into the theaters, man, because again, it has, and I'm going to use this phrase because I remember you remember me talking about this. One of the great things about movies sometimes is when people are silent about movies, right? I never forget leading into the months before Black Panther, there was all this bubbling and anticipation. Remember this, Charles? And Marvel never showed a trailer of Black Panther at Comic-Con. They didn't release a lot of images. I think they started marketing Black Panther maybe 2 months before it came out, like around November, December. They started putting out images for Black Panther when it was released in February.
Right.
All of that built up to this explosion of interest of people whose interests were not satiated by this. And they were like, man, I got to get in there and see this movie. I almost feel that there's a certain element of how Nope has been marketed because he released the poster a year before the movie came out. They released one trailer for it, man. And, you know, nobody's talking about Nope, but you can't ever count out Jordan Peele, man. I mean, he's shown you on multiple occasions that he really has a very distinct and unique voice. Could Nope be a sleeper this summer, man, in order to get people to come back to theaters? Because his audience isn't just African Americans. They're people who love Jordan Peele's work, and they like that horror thing that he kind of builds in with the suspense that he builds in with every film. What say you, Charles Kirkland?
I'm going to say this, and you're going to love it or hate it, but this film is the one that's going to let us know whether we have Jordan Peele is the modern Hitchcock or whether he's the modern M. Night Shyamalan. Because Ooh. I mean, the last film, Us, it was good, but it wasn't as equal to his first film. So this is really going to be the film that's going to let us know which direction we're going with Jordan Peele. So, like you said, there's a lot of anticipation about this film. And like you said, he's been keeping it on the down low. And so the anticipation is building. The answer, I guess the question is it going to be one of those films that's going to draw a lot of people out? I think the answer is in the name of the movie, though.
Dude, Nope. I'm sorry. I was not expecting you to go there, but that was good. Will this film succeed? Title? Nope. So we'll see, man. Now, next film, the next weekend, I should say, is July the 29th, man. And July the 29th has a couple of intriguing titles, including one where you bring Brad Pitt, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Brian Tyree Henry, Bad Bunny, and a bunch more to a film called Bullet Train. Now, I've seen a trailer for Bullet Train, and I'm just going to keep it 100 with you, Charles. I got to see Bullet Train in the theater. that movie looks like a lot of fun. It's directed by David. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing his name correctly. Is it Leitch? David Leitch. David Leitch directed Atomic Blonde, which I enjoyed a lot. Deadpool 2 and Hobbs and Shaw. So right there, you got me. He's directed 3 films I liked a lot. So I'm looking forward to Bullet Train. Got to see it in the theaters, which leads me also that weekend to counter programming the DC League of Super Pets. Now, Charles, let's be honest here. We talked about the Minions franchise. We talked about the Toy Story franchise and the spinoff with Lightyear. The DC League of Super Pets. You got Dwayne Johnson. You've got John Krasinski. You've got Kevin Hart. Is this a movie late in the summer that parents are like, hey, man, here's another film that fits the profile of these 2 films? Could this be a movie that could really move the needle and get families to bring kids to the theater to check it out?
You know, the funny thing about it is, if you ask a lot of people, they'll tell you that DC does animated stuff much better than they do live action. So this actually looks like a cute little movie. I don't know if it's going to have the draw that they want, but it's Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart is hilarious. And then it's The Rock. He's like, The Rock is the biggest movie draw in the world. So I don't know. It has potential. I think it'll do better than Bullet Train, although I'm dying to see Bullet Train, like you said, because it looks like it's going to be tremendously fun.
Right.
But this is one of those movies. It's about time the kids are getting ready to go back to school and you're giving them their last little hurrah before the summer is over. It could work.
All right. Now, also that weekend, man, is Vengeance. With Issa Rae, Ashton Kutcher, Boyd Holbrook, Dove Cameron, and Jay Smith Cameron.
You don't have to
film.
mention. You don't have to mention every film of the summer. You don't
Well,
really
no,
don't.
I'm mentioning the ones that have some interest, man. This is a Blumhouse horror film. Blumhouse always figures out ways to make money. So we got a couple films left, man. Apple TV is coming back the next week with Luck. The voice cast that includes Simon Pegg, Jane Fonda, Whoopi Goldberg, and John Ratzenberger. I think it being on Apple TV is a really wonderful place for it to be because I don't think it will. I'm just, again, you competing against franchises that are established in the game. You rolling out Luck. Luck might be good, but Luck is not bringing people to the movie theater, or should I say, without hating, good luck on that one. Secret Headquarters, is that one you want me to talk about, man? Owen Wilson, Michael Pena, Jesse Williams.
No.
Okay, I got one for you. August 12th, man, Day Shift. Jamie Foxx is back along with Dave Franco and Megan Good, directed by J.J. Perry. No, I think this is the answer that we'll keep using. We'll keep using the title of Jordan Peele's movie for this one. Nope. And that's pretty much it, man. You got Me Time, which is a Netflix release from August the 26th with Kevin Hart and John Krasinski and Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg and Kevin Hart, Regina Hall, and a couple of other people. So pretty much, man, what I'm starting to figure out, Charles, is that when we talk about a traditional movie summer, we're talking about, especially in the first couple of months, as I said earlier, from May to July, you usually have them packed in week after week after week. And it just doesn't feel like that this year. I think we're looking this summer that there might be maybe 3 or 4 real event films that happen. And then there's a smattering, like the next level down, that there's some films that might do something. And then there's a bunch of films that, is a combination of stuff that's on streaming platforms or some stuff like, I don't think that's going to move the needle too much. So what's your takeaway of what we just went through in this preview?
I do want to say that there was one movie in August that you kind of skipped over that might be interesting for the YA group.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Bodies, 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 which with Amanda Stenberg and I believe Pete Davidson's in it, a whole bunch of people, and it's about a bunch of 20-somethings that go to a party, and then things go wrong. It's a comedy horror film. I think it's an interesting placement because it's at the beginning of August, and again, you got the people who are getting ready to get back into school and stuff like that, and they're looking for something to grab onto at the last chance, and this it's got that audience that might make it successful. I think we might have to keep an eye open for Bodies, 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 which comes out on I think August 3rd or something like that.
All right, so we got several minutes left, man.
August 5th, sorry.
Okay. We got several minutes left, Charles. So you just heard what I said. I wanted you to comment. What are you feeling about not necessarily the quantity of movies, because I kind of understand that there are not a lot of movies, but what are you thinking about the quality of the movies in what we call, I guess I hate to use this phrase, but I'm going to use it, like kind of a prove it summer. I actually, prove it summer might be wrong, because I don't think it's about the studios trying to prove that they still have movies, because I think they always have stories, right? It's just the fact that the theaters, I think, and the studios both need people to come back to the movies much sooner than later, right? Because, folks have been hurting, and, this is like the first opportunity for people to get back out, as I said, in about 3 summers. What are you thinking about the overall quality of the films, and on a scale of 1 to 10, how successful do you think it's going to be economically for the theater chains and the studios in attracting people to come back, especially in light that you got studios like Netflix and Apple Plus that are doubling down, man, and putting movies out there like, stay home, you good, stay home.
Well, I'll say this. I don't think this is going to be one of those blockbuster summers that we've seen in maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. But I think it'll do reasonably well because I think we have about 5 or 6 really, really interesting movies that will bring people out to the theaters.
Right.
That could bring people out to the theaters. Of course, again, like we said before, Disney is kind of monopolizing the field because they're really going to be cutting the hamstrings on a couple of films that would probably, if it were spaced differently, make more money for Hollywood as a whole. But we'll see. I think it'll be an interesting summer. Not a blockbuster, but it'll be a good, hey, let's get back to normal kind of summer. Like it's going to push things for the fall.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those, I'm always give you the face and trying to do this wait and see, man, because I'm as curious as the folks that are watching this are. I really want to understand and trying to follow these patterns on when will people feel, I guess the word is comfortable coming back, and when will the conditions be right in order to attract audiences back. Now, audiences don't care when there's a comic book film. Don't care. So we'll see that on Sunday in huge numbers for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So I can't remember. I know Batman went over 100, right?
Yeah.
On his opening weekend. And of course, Spider-Man No Way Home, nuts. So I think this is going to be a nuts weekend. And I think there's not too many nuts weekends that we're going to see this summer. That's at least my prediction. Charles, last question. We got a minute and a half. Over under, man. 5 movies that make over 100 million this summer, or is that under? You got the over under on 5.
500 million? Is that
are there 5 titles that will clear $100 million in their opening weekend?
Yes.
Ooh.
I say yes.
I'm gonna take the under.
Okay, I'm
We'll come back in several months and we'll re-examine. So you got it here. But on behalf of Charles Kirkland, I am Tim Gordon, man. Charles, episode 500. Wow. Whew. Man, it's been a long time getting there, man. So stay with us. We'll be back on the other side. Or when I say the other side, like the next show with our bonus episode, which I don't even know why we're doing it, but we do it anyway so we can talk about it, but y'all don't care. But as we tell you guys every week, please see something good at the movies. Until next time, he's Charles Kirkland. I'm Tim Gordon. We'll see you guys on the other side. You take care and enjoy your weekend, and happy Mother's Day.